Yesterday, I take class to BA first year measuring students. The name of book is Literature and Composition, Reading, Writing and Thinking. Today, I particularly approach the poem Out, which is the second last lesson of the first unit of this book. Yes, dear my friends, the poem Out was composed by a famous American poet, Robert Frost. He was born in 1874 and died in 1963. He was the first poet reciting a poem for John F. Kennedy's presidential inauguration ceremony in the USA in 1961. Yes, the poem Out by an American poet, Robert Frost, is a horror poem. In this composition, he has stressed on the indifferent nature of modern people and brevity of life, including the futility of all worldly ambition at the same time. Dear my friends, as the theme of the poet has presented three ideas. The first one is indifferent nature of modern people, especially selfish nature of modern people. They are completely indifferent towards the sorrow and pain of others. Okay, and second idea is the brevity of life. That means shortness of life. The human life is very short. Yes, nobody knows who dies where and when. And the third idea is the futility of all worldly ambition at the same time. The Yes, a person accumulates lots of wealth, richness, and others, yes, to make him comfortable in his life. But all those richness, wealth, and other material prosperity, yes, are worthless, are meaningless in a short life of human being. Yes, in that sense, we can say that the very poet has presented three ideas as a theme of the poem. The first one is indifference, means bewasta, indifference nature of modern people. Brevity means shortness. Yes, brevity of life. And third one is futility. That means meaninglessness, arthabihin of all worldly ambition at the same time. Yes, dear my friends, the very poem has been approached on the basis of three-step approach. The very first one is experience. Yes, in the poem, the boy is at work cutting wood. The boss slips and cuts his hand. Despite the doctor's effort, the boy dies. Then everyone goes back to work at the end of the story. The very mm, Yes, the very description is the brief summary of the poem. Yes, then the poem displays a detestable scene, yes, a grisly scene, yes, you can say. People in the poem are heartless and cold. They seem to be insensitive and cruel towards the dying boy. Each and everybody turns back to their work, leaving the dead boy alone in the yard. Yes, dear my friends, the people who were there, yes, at the yard and watching the dying boy, yes, left the boy alone and they turned back to their own work, so that the very people seem to be insensitive and cruel, yes, towards the dying boy. Yes, okay. Let's let's go to the another step of approach analysis. Yes, in the first line of Out, the boss is presented as animal. The very boss has been presented as a conscious or personified here. Yes, the boss is represented as an animal because it snarled and rattled. This onomatopoeia, the very snarled and rattle, has been categorized under onomatopoeia. Yes, the very onomatopoeia has been used for three times before the saw leaped out at the boy's hand. Here, bus saw is personified. Okay, the bossa is presented as though it has got a consciousness. Okay, it suggests that this was not an accident. The saw is a predator, yes, a hunter. The saw is presented as a predator or a hunter. Yet it intended to hurt the boy. Then the poet gives us a description of a natural beauty of the landscape. The five mountain ranges, one behind the other, lie under the sunset, far into Green Mountain. Okay, the juxtaposition of the image of setting sun and a dying boy symbolize the similar meaning of the brevity of life. Dear my friend, the poet has juxtaposed the two images, the setting sun and the dying boy. The very the very juxtaposition of the images of setting sun and a dying boy symbolize the brevity of life or shortness of life. Okay, one who you know, one who is born is doomed to die. Yes, the day also goes down. Yes, the very day also turns to be dark, and the human being life also the human being's life also mm, dooms to death. Okay. Besides, the phrase out is taken from Shakespeare's tragedy Macbeth. The very phrase out yes, yes, was borrowed from Macbeth's tragedy. Uh, yes, Shakespeare's tragedy called Macbeth. Yes, Macbeth himself uttered this speech at the end of the play after being informed of Lady Macbeth's death. He describes the shortness of life and futility of all worldly emission at the same time. Dear my friends, when Macbeth was informed that Lady Macbeth was dead, okay, he recites, yes, he recites the same phrase out, yes, to reveals the shortness of life and futility of all worldly emission at the same time. Now let's talk about the extension. Biographical research on Frost and Out reveals that the present poem is based on the actual incident happened in 1915. The research discloses that his neighbor's son had lost his hand to a buzzsaw. The boy went into shock from blood loss. The efforts of the physician could not save his life. The event reflects the fleeting nature of all human life. Dear my friends, the very yes, the very slide, yes, the very slides presented has presented a real incident happened in 1915 when the poet had observed the real incident. What would happen at the house of his neighbor? Okay, yes, then he composed a poem out. Yes, you know, yes, in this incident, yes, his neighbor's sons had lost his hand to a buzzsaw. The boy went into shock from blood loss due to heavy bleeding. uh, yes, the boy lost his life. Even the physician effort seemed to be worthless because he could not save his life. The event reflects the fleeting or shortness, that means very brevity of human life. The very incident displays the brevity of human life. Yes, dear my friends, if you describe the poem based on time period when this poem was written, you will find that young children often worked long hours in unsafe conditions to support their families. Child labor laws adopted in 1924 ended this practice. Yes, on the background of this information, Frost was making a political statement by exemplifying the danger of expecting a boy, child at heart, to do a man's work. This poem also offers an opportunity to understand the social condition of this time period when everyone had to contribute in order to survive. Furthermore, first personification of the predatory saw shows the dangerous effect of technology on the human being and the natural world as well. Dear my friends, before 1924, yes, there was heavy exploitation of child labor. Yes, the child's yes, children were forced to work. Yes, since early in the morning to evening without any leisure time. Okay, their labor was exploited by the factory owner. Okay, not only this, dear my friends, the very poem has exposed the bad effect of industrialization, or bad, that means bad effect of development of technology in science and technology. Okay, yes, yes, dear my friends, uh, the period of Robert Frost was the period of industrialization. Yes, where most of the people's labor, uh, yes, was exploited much by the factory owners. Yes, they were compelled or they were forced to work, was even at less wage. Okay, and not only this, during that time, yes, each and every family members had to work hard to manage their to manage their hand to mouth or bread line. Yes, the very scene or contemporary society's reality has been presented by the poem. Okay, yes, thank you for watching this video, dear my friends. Okay, goodbye. See you again.